So
Yes.
the more it also builds their confidence if they know you beforehand. Like if they meet you
Yeah.
today
Hmm.
and then 2 years down the line you're coming to tell them, by the way, I'm now in the market for fundraising. They go back to that first time
Ah,
they met
yeah.
you.
We
And
met and we
yeah,
talked, and this happened.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So they know you've been around, at least someone knows you. So that just increases your, you know, the level of confidence these investors will have for you. Other sources to find these investors, I would say maybe check out our website,
Hmm.
BODCA, because we do have a membership comprising fund managers, both private equity and venture
Venture
capitalists.
capitalists. Yeah.
Some of the venture capital firms I have top of mind would be Chandaria Capital, um, would be DOB Equity, there's Kawisafi Ventures, there's Novastar Ventures, the
Yes,
list
there are
is endless.
many.
Yeah, the list is endless.
Yes.
If you want to find them, then
You will find
you will
them.
for sure find
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
You something that you talked about. Two things. The first one was, investors invest in the people and not the business. Okay, you didn't say the business, but they invest in the person.
At the end of the day,
What
yes.
does that mean? And how can we tap into that to get investment?
So what that means is when you first approach an investor, they'll want to take time to get to know you as an individual. They want to understand where you're coming from and what's your motivation. What are you working towards? What's your purpose? What are you looking to achieve? Yeah. So they do take some time to just to get to know you as an individual
Yeah.
and also to understand your expertise. Yeah, based on whatever industry you're operating in, they want to know that you have the capacity,
Yes.
both operational wise and technical capacity to see this business to a certain level of success.
Yes.
So that's why they'll take time to just want to get to know
To
you.
get to know you.
Yeah, to just understand, like, it's a very relational business. It's easy. It's easy for me to give you my money if
I
I've
have.
figured out that we have connected and we are
Yes.
aligned,
Yeah.
because investors are also looking for someone that they feel is aligned to their
To their
and
mission
their yeah, exactly, their end goal, which is to make money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more of it's a marriage almost.
It is a marriage. It is.
Yes.
It is a marriage. Yeah, it's
So
very
you
important
keep
for
on
those
wooing each
relations.
other.
You keep on
Yeah.
wooing each other, keep on going on dates. They'll want, to get before they get to just understanding your business. Of course, if you're looking for an investor, you'll definitely end up with someone who probably understands your business more,
Yes.
especially if you're just starting out. And these are the kinds of people who will want to help you just, put one plus one together, help you like contextualize what it is you're doing in a,
Yes.
in a more like in a better way than you would have done it by yourself. So that's why they like to build on these relationships. And in the long run, you're going to be stuck with these guys for at least 5 years.
5 years.
So
So you
it's
had better
very
be
important
friends.
to yeah, you had better be friends. If you're not friends,
And that relationship would last.
run, murife. Yeah, you've got to be. It's very important to
Yes.
have a good working relationship, because these are the
It's
guys who are going to not just give you money, but they're
yes.
also going to get into your business. And you are giving away, if you're going for a VC, then you're giving away part of your company. So you want to know that you are, at very least, at minimum, we
Yes.
are aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple of entrepreneurs who've come here and said they took long. I remember Cellulant saying that he had to teach to over 400 investors for them, for him for them to get the funding that they got, and see
Yeah.
how big Cellulant has become in a very short span of period. I've had people who say they've done 12. I've had people who say they've done, just a imaginable number. So which means that even when you're starting to search, it's not like a one day come
It's
to
not.
the Ivka and then you get an investor immediately.
No, it's not. And that's a
The
misperception.
process is long,
Yeah,
yes?
and that's a misperception I think that most entrepreneurs have, and
yeah.
they end up getting frustrated.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's not a one-time thing. It's not a one-month thing. You might approach an investor. They very much buy into your idea within the first 2 minutes of talking, but they are going to take their time to just know you. The other thing also is you find that especially in the tech space, like everyone is coming up with all these sorts of solutions, so they need time to ascertain that there's
This solution.
scalability. And yeah, exactly, you're actually solving a real
Yes,
problem. Yeah,
and we've seen what has happened to some of the solutions that that have been poured a lot of money in this
sadly,
country,
yeah,
and we've seen what has happened. So I'm
sadly.
sure, has that really affected how um, even investors are looking at spending on startups in Kenya?
I would say yes, in a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 2022, and this would bring me to the fundraising landscape. In 2022, towards the end of 2021, let's say after COVID time,
Mm.
yeah, because when COVID came, it kind of made us aware that,
We can work from home.
we can work from home, we can go digital, and then
Mm.
from that we started seeing a lot of innovations, tech
Yeah.
oriented
Mm-hmm.
innovations coming up. So the funding landscape just exploded at that time. It was very easy to raise funds, one,
Mm.
and there was a lot of money, coming into Africa. A
Why
lot
was
of
it? Because people were idle and they didn't know what else to do, so they started creating um, solutions. And these are the guys who are just at home thinking, where can we invest?
right.
Could that also have propelled? I don't know.
Necessity, I would say, is a mother of all
Yes.
inventions,
Uh-huh.
because you suddenly realize you need to survive. So you do what you have to do to survive. And
Yes.
as you're doing that, you're creating opportunities for investors. And for these foreigners who are coming in, for them, their end goal is to diversify their portfolio.
Yes.
Africa is promising right now. Africa is, has full potential. So why don't we get in
Africa
early?
is the girl
Yeah,
Toto.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. So now you tell, like, okay, going back to my point, so the fundraising landscape has been affected so much over
Mm-hmm.
the last it's been a roller coaster in the fundraising landscape. At one
Yeah.
point it was very easy, and then people started building companies
Yeah.
for valuations to you're building a company
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be bought out by the highest bidder.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that has now changed. It's
Yeah.
no longer the case. And during that time, you see it's the investors, entrepreneurs, let
Yeah.
me call them entrepreneurs,
Yes.
versus investors. These
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs are providing a wide range of opportunities. So these investors are flooding into the market.
Yes.
And then they realize at some point, we might have we might need to reevaluate
Mm-hmm.
these things. So what's happening right now? We are witnessing a valuation correction in the
Yes.
market, and that means the
It's not
fundraising
funny.
landscape,
It's not funny.
yeah, it's becoming it's
Yeah.
quite it's a challenge right now
Yeah.
for everyone who's trying to raise funds. Yeah, so if you have a tangible
Yes.
business, you will
Yes.
survive. If you're
It-
what we call wantrepreneur, that you are
yes.
just got into this thing, I have this great so-called
Idea.
great idea, and I
Yes.
can build this company,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
get a valuation of this amount, and then
Yes.
get these funds, and
Yeah.
sell to the next highest bidder. So right now that's not the case.
Yeah.
Investors are more in the driver's seat, and they're
Mm.
driving these conversations.
Yeah.
So they want to
So it's a
they're
good
focusing more
thing.
on value
Yeah.
creation. Yeah,
I think it's a good thing. So that now we don't have wastage of opportunities and money on ideas that might not really work eventually.
exactly. Yes.
In as much as we want to help out, so that we can have longer companies that are able to scale.
Yes.
Yes, if you have any questions, please, this is the time to let us know on all our social media handles. We are going to the next top of the hour, and of course, we are still here talking about venture capital in Africa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go back to music. When we come back, definitely more from Jackie. All right, hope you're having a great time. The music is definitely amazing and soothing. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Icon Radio number one entertainment plug. Money Mondays, where we talk about it's a show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm still with a representative from East Africa Private Equity and Venture Capital Association discussing about the landscape in this area and what where do we find opportunities in these places. I'm so shocked that we can find venture capitals here in Nairobi, and it's so easy. It's not rocket science. But how do I know that my company is or is needs funding? As you said earlier, that there are companies that you really don't need to be bootstrapped, or
Yeah.
there are companies that they don't really need that. How do you know that you need it?
How do you know that you need funding?
Yes. As a startup or as an enterprise.
Okay, it's first of all, I think it's not rocket science.
Yes.
When you need funding, you need funding because as a startup, what are you looking what are you looking to achieve? You need to hire a team. Do you have the cash to get you the right team? If the answer is no, then you might consider, getting into the market and raising funds that would then enable you to hire experts, because you also don't want to start a company and just go with anyone.
Yes.
That's not going to contribute to the success of the company. Yeah. Two, what are you looking for? Are you looking to scale? Have you already established a market in your, first country or your inaugural country of operation? Have you
Yes.
identified a market, and is there a need for such products? So then you look at your scalability. Is it now time for me to scale into other markets and expand and expand? Like people raise funds for different reasons. There are
Yes.
people who raise funds at concept stage, and this is for them to
Is-
enable
is-
them
is
to
there space for
develop.
concept stage in Kenya? Like I have an amazing idea that I want to start. So
Oh yes, you
this
can
is-
consider angel investors actually.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's angel investors who are doing exactly that. So they provide very, very early stage funding. They'll help you, identify your market. They have like the go-to market strategy. So these are investors because most of them are former entrepreneurs, so they understand your struggles.
Yeah.
They'll give you the cash you need to, come up with a product eventually.
Yes.
VCs also are very they take on a lot of risk because sometimes they're investing in a company pre-revenue. That means all you have is forecast of what you expect to
have, yes. All you have is
to
focus
have.
of what
You
to
just
expect
have
to make.
focus of what your product once it hits the market, these are the kind of revenues I'll be able to generate, and after this period of time, this is the amount of money I'll be bringing in as revenues. So they look at that and invest in you. That would be qualify as also like
Yeah,
concept.
angel
Yeah,
investing.
no,
Yeah.
at concept.
Yes.
So you have probably some of them have a product, yes, but you've not started generating revenues. Why? How else would you identify if you need money? So yeah, mostly it's for those, like you need to develop a product. You don't have the finances.
Yes.
You need to, you need a team, because as a founder you can't do this alone.
can't
It's
do
a
it
very
on your
lonely
own.
journey. So you need a
Yes.
team. You need
Yes.
money to recruit, and also you just need to be able to. Are you able to comfortably sustain your operational expenses? Yeah.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that will drive you into getting this money. And people raise funds for different reasons. There are some who, are not just looking at the money I'm going to get at the end of it, but I also need an expert.
Yes.
Most of these investors will have the technical expertise, and most of them come with what we call technical assistance. So you want to also unlock that to just spread, you don't want to spread yourself thin as you're building this company. So you
Yes.
bring someone else on board. They'll, help you execute your strategy. Yeah. And
Okay.
grow the company to success.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of now doing that, like searching for an investor, and I know you need to be investor ready. I've
Yes.
had that so many times in my life.
Yeah.
How does it look like from your perspective and from the works you've seen? Is anyone ever investor ready? What does that mean actually?
Yes, you
Yes.
can. Anyone can be investor ready, but not everyone is investor ready.
Yes.
So, investor readiness, in simple terms, I would say this is your ability to attract investors. Like, if you present yourself to an investor, they look at your business and buy in. So, it's just your ability to attract investors. What does it mean to be investor ready as a company? Have you set up your systems, your structures, governance? How does that look? Who are you accountable to? Do you even have a
A
board?
board.
Do you have a board, an
We're starting
advisory?
with one. Wow, it's intense.
Yes, it is.
Even for a startup,
Yes.
you have to have all this. So the checklist. Let's start with the first one.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, structures, that is
Structures.
your organizational structure.
So CEO,
Yes.
legal,
It
marketing.
depends with what
Yes.
level you are at, because sometimes you just have a founder and co-founder, but do you have an idea of how you want this organization to look like? Do you have an accountant? Do you have
Okay.
like someone who's keeping you in check in terms of audits? Are your papers, most of it is about documentation, and are your papers ready? Like, have you done your audits? Have tax compliance? How is that since you started operations? Such such things just goes into the day-to-day operations of a business. Yeah,
Yes.
having that structure helps them to kind of have an idea of where
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 you're
you
going.
are and where
Yes.
you want to be at.
Yes.
Yeah, so you may not have them right now, but once I get this amount of financing, I
I
can be
can-
able now to bring these people on board. But even before that, it's very important to at least have an advisory board. And most of these are non-executive, non-paying. People will volunteer to get on your board. Yeah, so those are some of the things. Track record as well.
What do you mean track record?
So your track record would be, for example, what example can I use? Like you right now,
Yes,
Kang'Ethe, right?
yes.
You're telling me you want to sell to me a solution that would make broadcasts, like digital broadcast, easy.
Yes.
And if I look at you as an individual, what's your track record like in terms of experience?
Okay.
Yeah. What have you, like, over time?
What
What
have
have
you
you been
done?
working on, and what have
Yes.
you done that now makes you think that you're able to come up with this idea and see it to fruition? So that's track record of like just your work experience. You need to be very familiar with what
With the
you're seeking
sector.
funds for.
Yes,
Be
yes.
very familiar with that sector.
Be
Yeah.
very known in that sector as well.
Yes.
Well, yeah, more or less.
More or less. It's your expertise
Yes.
at this point.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And if it's for a company, if you've raised any funding before, it depends also at the stage of fundraising that you're going, the stage of fundraising that you're going for.
Going for,
So
yes.
if you've raised funds before, they'll want to know how did you use these funds. That goes into your track record as well, just to
Yes,
see that
yes.
you know exactly what you need this money for, and
Yes.
it's going to be put to good use.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. At
Yeah.
least now I know what it means to invest already.
There's a lot more to it.
Than
They'll
that.
want- yeah,
okay.
you'll need
the
to
technical ones probably you haven't touched.
have these. Yeah, so there'll be things like, what problem are you solving?
Problem solving.
Yeah, they need to see that you have a niche, like it's a niche product.
Product.
Yeah, it's not easily what do you call it, replicable in the
Replicated,
market.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Like there are so many barriers of entry such that by the time someone else cracks your code and they're coming in as competition, you've already made your money. As an investor, I've already made my money, and I'm thinking of, it's now time for me to
For
go,
me
because
to-
I also
to
don't
go.
want to stay. Yeah, I'm not going to stay with you for the rest of your company's life. I'll just do a short duration. It's usually 5 to 7 years, and by that time I need to have made my money and move on to the next, to go build the next venture.
Yeah.
So yeah, competitive advantage, that's what I'd call it. Scalability, that is the ability to get into other markets. Like if you have, like, let's say, like, perfect example is Safaricom. Like,
Yes.
right now they're in Ethiopia, so that's
scalability.
That's scalability. How easy would it be in terms of the regulatory frameworks, the licensing and such will influence whether or not an investor would see you as being investor ready. They are looking to invest in businesses with high growth potential, and for you to have that, it means you also can take this business from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam and still, get into the market and be profitable. So that's one other thing that will make you,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's
to be
not
apart
rocket
from,
science,
no, it's
really.
not. It's just like just get your papers, get your
Ready.
house in order.
Yeah.
You need to have a bit of
Before
structure
before you bring someone, so
before
you
you
have a
bring.
serious structure.
Yes, do you also have a pitch deck?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. And what's in your pitch deck? Are you able to articulate?
Yeah, I've heard about the elevator pitch. The five, is it 5 seconds or
The 5 seconds,
5 minutes? It's
yes.
five
The five
seconds.
minutes is too long.
So 5 seconds you've already
Yeah,
you've pitched what you
like you already
do.
know this is what I want. Yeah, exactly. The five, not exactly five
Okay,
seconds, but
5 minutes is like a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. 5 minutes is still a lot. Two
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
yeah, you're good to go. So
Okay.
those are some of the things. Like have your pitch deck ready. You need to demonstrate your need. What are you looking for?
Mm.
What kind of financing are you looking for? Are you raising debt or are you raising
In
equity?
fact, this was the other
Yeah.
question. Most venture capitalists raise for equity,
Yes.
other than other than the grants and debt, right?
Yes. Yes.
How so that is definitely now sounds like it's more serious and it's more because you see if it's a grant, it's not even grants are serious. Let's say for equity, they
I'm not
definitely
so
want
sure how
to
I feel
see.
about grants. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
equity, someone wants to see their money return.
Yeah.
So I can see that happening. So what does that mean? So when it's equity, there's more scrutiny. I don't know. Is that something that is
Yes.
there?
So you'll have, in both cases, you'll still have to go through a very rigorous due diligence
Yes.
process.
Yes.
And in due diligence process is just they want to make sure that what you put on paper is exactly what is on
What
the
is
ground. Yeah, qua ground.
ground to the same thing?
Qua ground need the same thing. They just want
Yes.
to ascertain that. They want to be sure of where exactly they're putting their money, because this is also not their money. They're just the managers, the holders of the money who are sitting in, North America and Europe.
Yes.
They also have their requirements, and they know that I've given you this money. I've given you the liberty to choose where you want to invest
Yes.
it in.
Yes.
But just know after a certain period of time, this is what I expect to get back. So this is why they'll go for very high growth businesses.
Yes.
Yeah. Potential to grow, to scale, and get them those returns.
Yes.
And they're giving you this money for just a period of time. So they'll prefer to do equity because it allows them to stay in the business until they are able to achieve their multiples.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a really scary part. I don't know whether it's scary because sometimes I spoke to some investors and they were thinking that sometimes
Yeah.
they come into the market or the venture capital will come in
Yeah.
and they might want to change the direction of the company.
See, that's
that is
also a
scary.
misconception and misperception
Yeah,
people have
this is
about
where you're
venture
here. Yeah.
capital. It's not that bad, guys.
Yes.
For instance, as an entrepreneur, I usually, like, in one of the many conversations I get to have, I'll just tell you, be sure of what you want. And at the end of the day, remember that you know best what you're talking about. That investor might seem to know it all, but they really don't understand your business. You're the one who understands it best. Build on your confidence, build on your storytelling, because those are some of the things they'll be looking at. And by the time you are investing and giving away a portion of your company in equity, it means that you've also seen the bigger picture, that this person is not just going to bring in this money. This is very patient capital. Remember, if you're
Yes.
giving away equity, like I can take, let's say, and this is just a rough example, I can take, 2 million or 5 million USD and give away like 20% of my company. I still have 80%, but think of what that money is going to do, the kind of growth levels you're going to achieve when you get that financing versus when you don't have and you expect to grow your business organically, because the business environment can be very tough. It takes a long time for startups to get to profitability. Yeah, profitability.
Yes,
What
yes.
this VC money is coming to do is to enable you to operate at
At
that world
yeah,
class
yes,
level, and that you are able to achieve your profitability uh,
at ease.
at ease and
Yeah,
faster.
without
Yeah,
stressing about what I'm going to eat tomorrow.
exactly. And you're not just getting the money, as I mentioned, they also come with the technical expertise, because an
Yes.
investor will not invest in a sector they don't understand. So they
Yeah.
bring that expertise on board. You'll use them as your advisors. You feel free to use them. Yeah, these
Mm.
are the people you go to. Like, let's say you're going for your next fundraising, like you already raised money from this so, and now you are ready to go to the market again. These are the kind of people you'll go to and tell them, listen, I'm going back to the market. Can you
Mm.
please have a look at my pitch deck and just see, yeah,
Whether
whether this is going,
I'm
yeah,
making
because it's also in
sense.
their interest that your business succeeds. Yeah, so they
Yes.
want to stay with you, grow the business with you to a level
Even though they're
where
gonna
they are
exit.
gonna exit. That's the
So
end
they
goal.
always exit,
They
yeah?
always exit. That's
Yeah.
the
After they've made their
end goal.
money.
After they've made their money, so they'll have like a holding period of like 5 years
Yes.
where they're not asking you for anything. And
Yeah.
even when they're seeking to exit, it's the you still rely on their networks. And there's also an option of what we call a founder buying back the shares. So
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
you can
Mm.
also get an opportunity we call exit through buyback. So you can also buy back by the time this guy is leaving, and you keep your business to yourself.
All
So you can buy
right.
back your shares. Yeah,
Great, great
and they're not
stuff.
coming to control it. I know most people, like, these are
That
some
is
of
the
the things I've
major
heard. They're not
question.
coming to
Yeah.
control your business. They're coming
Yes.
to help you be a better version of what you brought to the table from
Yeah.
conception. Yeah, that's what
How,
they do.
what happens when you feel like they're controlling your business? Do you tell them it's been real? Thank you. Um, how do you control
Well,
that as
as I
well?
said, it's a marriage, so you're stuck with them. You need to be very careful
Yeah.
also
So
of who
you
you're
need to,
bringing on board.
yeah.
But yeah, you're also
Because
the other
it's
thing
a
is just
challenge,
being
to be honest.
confident,
Yeah.
yeah, and just air your grievances. There's always room for talk if you
Yeah.
feel like, I know, not necessarily in Kenya, but I have someone that I look up to, and the way he interacts with investors, because sometimes, yes, they can be overbearing,
Yeah.
because it's make it or make it, so that
Yes.
tends to come off as, overbearing. But it's
Yeah.
just that they really want to be sure that they'll get their money back. But it's also important for you as a founder to be confident, and yeah, just stand your ground. You also stand to correct them. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you take in the good, and
And keep the bad away.
which is why you also need an independent board. So those are some of the
You
things that your
see,
board will help you navigate.
that's why you need to keep your house in order.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Because you could be
exactly.
having a very good product,
Yes,
and someone can take it in a different direction, and it could die or succeed.
yes,
But you're the sole bearer of the idea.
yeah,
So even as you're seeking for funding, you need to be sure to
yes,
protect that arm or that side.
yes, exactly.
Though I have friends who've decided to actually sell their brand after they've gotten funding.
See,
It's interesting
yeah,
that other people also feel like, you know what, I've succeeded. Probably I'm not the person to be able to take it to the next level, but hey,
yeah.
I've brought it to where it is now.
Yeah, which is
Yes.
very true. I was just having an interesting conversation outside
Yes.
with
Yes.
I met someone from, is it Tucenti? I
Yeah.
think it's a startup. He was trying to tell me about it, and I was like, it's 6 p.m. So
You were
maybe
not even
I
there.
need, yeah, but I think they
Yeah.
have a very good
Idea
idea
of
there,
what
yeah,
they're saying.
of
Yeah.
what they're saying. But yeah, we were just having that conversation, and the story of, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, and Apple came up, and one
Yeah.
person was like, you know what, Steve Jobs didn't make Apple. Tim Cooks is the one who did it, and this other person was just like, it's different stages of growth. So like someone like Steve did his part up to a point where he, recognized that I can't give more than I have. So it's also a matter of knowing when to exit the stage. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you have any questions, please let them through on all our social media handles. Let's go back to the music. Amina and Jay have not listened to that song in a while. How you doing? This is Icon Radio #1 entertainment plug. Hang out with me, Kang'Ethe and Njoroge on Money Mondays. Excited to be with you here, and of course, the questions are definitely coming in. We've been discussing about venture capitalists in Kenya and Africa, and especially what are the opportunities thereof in this sector. I'm here with someone from the East Africa Venture Capitalist Association.
Yes.
Private Equity and Venture Capital Association.
Yeah, you
I
can,
know
you
it's
can, you
it's
can
a
just
monthly.
use it.
IBCA, IBCA, yes.
IBCA.
Jackie from IBCA is definitely here telling us how to be investor ready, where to get these investors if you have any questions. We got only yeah. Really, time has really gone.
Already.
We got only 30 minutes to be here, actually 26 minutes to be here. So if you have any questions, please let us know so that we make sure that we answer before we leave the studio. All right. And now we've been discussing how to be investor ready. And of course, how to protect yourself as an entrepreneur, making sure that you get the right person to invest in your business. What are some of the challenges you've seen in that area? First of all, let's be honest, we've seen more than 5 to 6 startups in Kenya. Seeing that they are, divesting. Is it divesting out or deciding that their startup is not working, or we've seen them now deciding that that they're going to cut jobs, and
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of that in the market, and there's a lot of fear that investors are just pouring in money without thinking about this startup's growth. Are you seeing those challenges extending going forward? And what are the other challenges you've seen in this sector that needs to be looked at?
Yeah. To
Yes.
begin with, sadly, yeah, it's very sad to see the kind of decisions that some startups are forced to make based
Yeah.
on the economic factors that are not so friendly. We are dealing with rising inflation,
Yes.
supply chain disruption.
Yes.
There's the whole currency crisis.
Oh,
I don't know
that
if
has
guys are
even
able to access
really-
dollars right now,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you go to markets such as Ethiopia, you will have to, you'll really struggle to get
Like
access
now, I
to
just
hard
wish
currency.
I had put a lot of dollars under my mattress. I'd be so
This
rich
is the
now.
time. Yeah, yeah, you earn on
Yes.
FX. Yeah, so sadly, for as long as the investors are now in the driver's seat and they're driving valuations, which in the end then translates to fundraising, there is most likely going to be more job cuts. Most companies are scaling down
Oh no.
to preserve. It's called value, like
Value.
preserving value.
Yes.
So if you can no longer afford to have a workforce of 10 people and can instead get 2 people to do this job,
yeah.
at least until the
company-
the company gets to a better level
Yeah.
in terms of financing.
Yes.
I would say that those are some of the most difficult decisions that these founders have to make, and letting their team go. For them, it's to just find a way to remain afloat, as well
Amidst
as
all this crisis.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And also, yeah, so those are some of the things that would come in with holding or building off an investor's money, because when the landscape changes, it has a trickle down effect on everyone.
Yes.
You'll see, I think, for example, what are we going to see more of in 2023? We are going to see a lot of acquisitions, and this is because some companies are not going to be able to sustain themselves in the long term. So the smartest idea for you is to have a strategic exit and let someone who has the capability to continue to continue growing this company take over. So
Yes.
we will most likely see a lot of acquisitions other than the job cuts. It's also because the fundraising landscape, as I mentioned before, is very challenging right now. Most investors are looking at your track record, and I know now you know what a track
Yes.
record is. So
No, I am a smart person now.
yeah, so as a founder, they'll want to know if you've been successful at previous fundraisers, who invested in you. It's also very important to carefully consider which kind of investor you're going to, it's a marriage you're going to bed with at the end of the day,
Yes.
and what
Yeah.
can they do for you, because they need to be able to unlock the potential that you ideally won't be able to reach by yourself. So yeah, job cuts, value preservation is still going to remain key in terms of just trying to navigate the current economic tides and to survive the headwinds.
So it's a tough time for startups right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so what you see is there's how do I say it? Flight to quality.
Flight to quality.
Yeah, so this
Yes.
capital is now looking for kind of businesses that are going to be sustainable in the
They're
long
not,
in
they're
the
now
long
not
run,
giving everybody the
not
way.
just giving not just giving everybody.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, it's sustainability at the end of the day. So if you have, it's only like this is now like our kind of it's a jungle right now, and only the toughest are going to be
Are
able to
going to
survive. And
survive.
yeah, who's the toughest entrepreneur right now?
Hmm.
What problem are you solving?
Yeah.
Do you have a market for it? Is there demand? Yeah, the need in the market, and is it going to be, the same, or are you going to see increased market acquisitions in future? So those are some of the things, but for now it's, I think, wise to
Yes.
scale down. Don't spend money
So much right now. Yeah.
on what you don't necessarily need to
Yeah.
spend money on.
Yes.
If you can have a lean team, the better, because for you to get like an experienced person to work for you in a startup, they're going to charge you an arm and
Yes.
and leg.
Yes.
So yeah, it's important to just, if there's any way, so many people, we came back to 2023 and we're seeing, even from the investors themselves, the fund managers, they're
Yes.
coming back to say, listen, after a review, we are going to just take a step back, because everyone is, we are not so sure. Like right now, it's becoming more clear that you're going through another recession. It's like another 2007 to 8
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
That's now becoming more clear. We've
And-
seen like
And
banks
let's talk
going
about
down.
that. Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
Silicon Valley Bank
The
that
Silicon Valley.
went down.
Exactly.
There's another bank, I can't remember the name as well, that also went
down around the same. There's been like
Yes.
3 of them,
Yeah,
but I only
it's been
remember the
3.
Silicon Valley one
Abu,
because
don't shock
those-
me. Are you telling me we're going to back to the 2007, 2008? Are there those indicators?
So it's to just brace ourselves, because yeah, every day we wake up to, okay, I think it is indeed a recession.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. Yeah, so everyone, including even the LPs themselves, the DFIs who are deploying money into these funds, are also taking a step back to just understand that we are not going to put our money anywhere. We are going to put money where there's value. So those are kind of the things that are affecting these startups.
Flight to quality.
Flight to
love
quality.
That. I love
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes.
So we're going to see that happening a lot in terms of now. Even are we going to see an increase in? I've not seen any numbers yet for the first quarter of. Well, because it hasn't ended yet.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any numbers. But how are the numbers indicating in terms of investment in startups, especially in East Africa? And Kenya, are we still going to be top 2?
I
going
am
forward?
not so sure about that. Egypt has already,
Yeah.
produced a unicorn.
Oh.
Is it MNT Harlan?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fintech that raised about 400 million USD.
Imeenda.
Imeenda.
Even Devo. Yes.
Yeah, but in terms of funding in general, I would say Africa is now just beginning to, catch up on the effects of the funding decrease that was witnessed globally.
Yes.
So in 2022, we
As we
were,
were
yeah, exactly.
excited.
While globally funding was declining,
Declining, yes.
in Africa we still attracted the most
Yeah.
funding.
Yes.
And then that happened from Q1 to Q3. So in Q4, we started, witnessing a decline of some sorts, and that is now it's a continuing trend into
Mm.
2023. So
Mm.
there's still increased activity, but with all the other, changing fundamentals of the ecosystem,
Mm.
we might begin to see a lot more decline in funds.
Yes.
Yeah, that are
Okay. And and and
allocation.
and to be honest, that shocks me because currently
Hmm.
our funding is only 1% compared to what
Yes.
the global funding for startups.
Hmm.
Africa only receives just a certain.
Yes.
It's almost as 1%.
Hmm.
What's going to happen with that? So and I know that everybody's not looking at Africa.
Yes.
Are we going to see a lot of global guys still coming
Hmm.
to Africa despite the issues that are affecting? Because definitely the issues are not affecting. Are they? They're not African. The issues are not
Hmm.
African. The issues are global. The issues
Yeah.
is Ukraine and the dollar and
Hmm.
stuff. It's not really African problem. Though we have definitely we are seeing a lot of problems in Africa with a lot of government rising.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's very confusing. The fact that we've just seen people excited about
Hmm.
um the region and then now they're just
Yes.
a bit scared. It's
Yes.
very interesting.
Yeah. So Africa has historically, for a long time, been perceived as a high risk market.
Hmm.
And this is because we are an emerging market. We are
We've
an
been imagining
emerging
for
economy. We've been for so long.
since I
And
was born.
yeah, so there's this perception of Africa being very high risk. But at the same time, the entrepreneurial spirit continues to grow, and this
Hmm.
also provides a lot of opportunities for these investors. We have some things that work to our advantage. For example, we have, we are home to a growing young population, and it's
Yeah.
just a population. It's like these tech savvy. We are now producing these tech savvy consumers. We are
Yes.
creating a need in the market for
Mm.
solutions, especially tech based solutions. So in terms of the interest, it's still very high.
Hmm.
There's lots of opportunities and lots of potential that Africa has to offer.
Yes.
Look at Tanzania, for example. They've been able to double the amount of funding from investors. Like in 2 years, they've doubled that, more than doubled, like from
Mm.
3 billion that they were able to attract in, let's say, 2 years ago. Now
Yes.
they are at 8 billion. And this is in the middle of everything that's happening
Mm.
globally. So, in terms of potential, we still have lots of potential.
Mm.
In terms of capital, the capital is still
Still
very
there.
much there. The
Yes.
only question is, where is this capital going to?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we still we don't give up. We don't lose hope.
No, there's no room to give up.
Yes.
And don't lose hope. The capital is still there. It's just that, the a bit more increased due diligence.
Hmm.
So if you need funding,
Mm.
it might take you a longer time that
No.
it's yeah
Okay.
now than it did before. Like before, you'd take maybe 2-3 months for due diligence. Now
Mm.
it will take you at least 6 months. But it's just
6 months.
yeah, exactly. And this is you just going through that,
Yeah.
the whole investment cycle. So you have to present your idea, and
Mm.
then the potential investor needs to buy in, and they need to be able to get their investment
Investment
committee to
back.
sign
Yeah.
off. Yeah, so it's a back and forth, for example. So your reputation will also go a long way.
Yes.
Yeah, integrity,
Hmm.
transparency.
Yes.
And I've seen, sadly, some companies just closing shop altogether. Some of it would be that you didn't have a unique
So,
solution to
so,
offer per se,
yeah.
but you thought you
You
had.
did.
Yeah, and the other thing is just your relationship with the investors.
Mm.
Transparency is very important, because in this time, even as you're looking to raise your next round, you need to
Mm,
at least have an investor on board who's able to bail you out, for lack of a better word. Like
mm,
if I'm cash constrained right now and I'm fundraising, but I
mm.
still need to keep the operations going, my investor should be able to, step in and provide bridge financing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Okay.
just help me
To
keep the
bail out just
keep the
in
lights
case things.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep the
Yeah.
lights on at least until you're able to raise the next funding, because I've seen some of the companies that have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, you know was some of the factors that led to their fall was the
Mm,
fact that you've gotten to a point where you need more money.
mm.
You
And
are
no one is
unable
giving
to
you more
raise. You
cash.
are unable to raise even from your pre-existing investors.
Investors. Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes it harder
Mm.
for you to attract new investors. That is why
Yes.
I started by mentioning the importance of relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one thing that I'm very excited about, because I'm in this sector of telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I had you talk about storytelling in terms
Mm-hmm.
of as a very good um, option to be investor ready, and of
Right.
course for growth. Why is
Mm-hmm.
storytelling important? I've had since I'm in the storytelling business,
Mm-hmm.
um startups come and tell me, yo, I want to be on the paper. How can I be on the paper? Are those things very important? And what is story? How does storytelling help entrepreneurs
Mm.
seen and perceived as great and high impact?
One, I would say it's how you present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For example, you can work on a very excellent pitch deck,
Mm,
but once you've done that work, you're not, sorry, you're not the guy to go and stand in front of people and, make them visualize, like get into their minds. That's what I would say, getting into the mind of
mm,
your listeners. And in this case, that is your potential investor, because before you meet them, they'd have already gone through the pitch deck. By the time you're meeting them, some of them have already determined whether or not they're proceeding with this opportunity,
yes.
because they can tell, they've already seen what the key things they look for, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
before committing.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already seen that from your pitch deck. The question then becomes, how am I able to narrate this in a way that is inspires confidence in them,
Mm,
because they want to know that you understand the business model and you know exactly what you're talking about. This is where storytelling comes in,
mm.
because once you have that at your fingertips, you're then very confident in presenting your ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Oh.
yeah, it's that. It's very important. You some people just, you don't, like when you're doing when you're pitching, for example, don't just take your notes and start reading. Yeah, you prepare one of those PowerPoint presentations that are too wordy, because you need
Yes.
to remember everything, and then you'll spend most time trying to
To
read
to
that.
to to
Then
look at
yeah, exactly, then
yes.
you lose the flow at some point. And once
Mm,
you do that, they'll start asking questions like, if you can't take 5 minutes to tell me to get me to buy into your idea, then I'm not sure we want to move uh, ahead,
mm.
yeah, with
Oh,
these discussions. So it's how you present yourself, and also commanding authority.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I think that has been an amazing 2 hour show
Already.
of yeah, we're already done. And thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for coming. I
Thank you
know
for
that
having me.
everybody has been excited to listen and to get more insights. Definitely you're coming back. I can see, when is she coming back? Definitely you're coming back very soon to just now we can have specified topics and see how
Yes.
to take them one by one, step
Hmm.
by step,
Hmm.
to see what we can do on that. Thank you so much for
Sure.
coming. Thank you for tuning in. Till next week, at the same place, same time. I'm your host, Kang'Ethe Njoroge. This has been Money Mondays. Till next time, it's pieces. Bye. Have a good evening.